say, yeah, do the pledge, and then we'll say, okay, now we're going to honor our retirees.
Carrie's not coming? Carrie not coming?
I haven't heard from her one way or the other. I know Jean's.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. That's fine. Mine.
Okay. I'll call this meeting to order. I get 7:08 p.m. Go stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to jump around on the agenda real quick and move our recognition of our retirees up to the top.
Okay, so we have our retirees and families here tonight, and we're going to start off with Ben Schurston from the Bucher School presenting the retirees.
So I want to thank Kathy Hughes for her service to Bucher and to the district. She joined the district in 1996 at Winthrop and came over to Bucher in 1999 when we opened as an elementary school. So you are the only guidance counselor that we have ever had here. Those are big shoes that need to be filled. You have helped countless students with social and emotional needs, everything from the usual drama to full-on tears and everything in between, and handled it with grace. In addition, you've counseled so many staff members through the years, and I cannot tell you how many of them have come to me in the last month to say, where am I going to go next year? Who's going to be in that office? Is there someone in there that I can go to? Because we have those tough days the same way that our students do. And on a personal note, it's been great to have you help me as I navigated my first year as a principal. It was huge to have you as a colleague and someone to bounce ideas off of. So thank you very much for that. Moving forward, I know that you do some realty on the side, have more time for that, spending time in your garden in Crane Beach. So enjoy as you step into the next phase of your life, and thank you for all that you've done for us.
Congratulations. Next up, actually, is from central office, is Donna Bunk, and unfortunately, Donna couldn't be with us tonight. She's retiring after 14 years of service to the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District. She began her career in education in the Beverly Public Schools in 1987, where she worked as an administrative assistant and head bookkeeper. She joined the district in 2005 as the administrative assistant to the district's business administrator, and she held that position until 2011. Finally, in 2011, she became the administrative assistant to the superintendent of schools. And I have to say, in many respects, Donna is the face of the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District. She's responsible for registering all new students to the district, and so she's usually the first person new families meet when they come into the district. She also meets with all the new hires as part of the onboarding process. In all of her interactions, Donna can always be counted on to be welcoming and kind. From having to deal with me for the last 7 years, I can attest that Donna is also one of the most patient and understanding people on the planet. I want to wish Donna all the best in her retirement. Okay, and next up we have Stacy Busick. Just going to introduce.
So Betty Minton has been a member of the school district since 1997, spending 21 and a half years of service within the Student Services Department. And I say has been instead of was, as we still rely on her expertise and support maybe more than she wants us to, or would like us to. So she's still a member of our department in a lot of ways. During her time with us, Betty has been a welcoming and thoughtful member of the department and the district. She's sensitive, patient, respectful, patient, always willing to assist and share her expertise, and patient. Her knowledge of special education, combined with her interpersonal skills, conscientiousness, attention to detail, and institutional knowledge, was and continues to be an asset and crucial to the functioning of the Student Services Department. If there were questions on an IEP, Betty could answer it. Problems with Aspen, Betty was the go-to person. A question about a student, Betty had the answer. And I'm pretty sure that she remembers just about every special education student who has come through the district since she started in 1997. There's not a day that goes by now where a question comes up in the office and the mantra is always the same. Betty would know this. So we've had big shoes to fill in our department. We've missed Betty being a part of our department on a daily basis, but we're happy she's still willing and able to commit time to supporting us. And she always does it with a smile and patience. So Betty, we're thankful for your many years of commitment to the district, and we wish you only the very best in your retirement, enjoying time with your family, and especially your 2 granddaughters, and you deserve all the happiness in the world.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
thank you.
Stacy. So nice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And next up, Jen Clifford, principal of the Cutler School.
Suzanne Clerkin will be retiring next week, spending the last 15 years in Hamilton Wenham. She first joined the Bucher School staff in 2004. She spent 4 years, I believe, assisting students at the Bucher School as a teaching assistant. She was a valuable member of both the language arts and the special education staff. We welcomed her to Cutler in 2007, where she grew. I went back through her personnel file this week, and it made me laugh. We hired her as a .4 FTE, which is about 2 days a week, for a year as a special education teacher, and then she grew to a .7 FTE. Numbers always go the other way, not up, but down. And she even went up to the high school for a day and a half that year to help students with their reading. And by 2009, she spent her entire week at Cutler, supporting our students with both moderate special education and therapeutic special education needs. Her personnel file is filled with an impressive amount of coursework that she's completed since her time in 2004, which is a nod to her desire to continually learn. Outside of school, Suzanne's a voracious reader, an accomplished rower, an international rower, I will even say. We've seen her go off to her races, and an attentive gardener. She's tended to her students over the years much like she's tended to her garden, giving each child her focus, love, attention, and the resources they need to grow under any conditions. We will all miss Suzanne's presence as a team member of Cutler School. Thank you. Your turn. Heidi Hebert came to Hamilton Wenham 30 years ago in 1989 after starting her teaching career overseas in the Department of Defense school system. She first joined Cutler as a 5th grade teacher, moving over here to Bucher for a few years before returning home to Cutler in 5th grade again. Always a learner, Heidi decided to pursue the library media specialist position at Cutler in 2008 and has spent the last 11 years developing our program both at our school and across the district elementary schools. Heidi's always taken on teacher leadership roles, such as our curriculum coach, and I think she has likely written and received more Ed Fund grants than anyone else in the district at this time. Her willingness to continue to evolve the library and tech lab models into a learning commons led the other elementary schools to do the same. She was an active participant in our district partnership with MIT that enhanced our makerspaces and our approach to STEM learning at the elementary level. She's the one that I go to with new ideas. She helps me problem solve and think things through from her perspective as both a specialist and a classroom teacher at Cutler School. We will all miss your perspective and your presence at Cutler next year. Congratulations.
And next up from the high school, Eric Tracy.
Upon my arrival at the high school 6 years ago, Mr. Bucci was already a legend. The class of 2019 dedicated the yearbook to Mr. Bucci this year to mark the end of 34 years of engaging, inspiring young scholars. Ask any student who's had the pleasure of taking one of his classes, and they will tell you, Mr. Bucci is the real deal. His dedication to his students is only surpassed by his steadfast dedication to his family and, most importantly, BC hockey. During the year, I interviewed members of the freshman class to ask them how their school year was going and to ask what they liked and disliked. Every ninth grade student I interviewed who had Vinny as their teacher mentioned him as their favorite. Why? They were handpicked, yes. Why? Because he had a great balance of high expectations while being exciting for something that usually for some is not. His questions are thoughtful, and the way he treats students truly makes them know he believes in them and everything they have to say in his class. In my 23 years as an evaluator, I have never run into an educator who could make a lecture exciting until I met Vinny. His excitement for his content shines brightly. His simple movements about the front of the classrooms are mesmerizing, and students know right away to pay full attention when his glasses come off. Throughout his career, he engaged his students with passion for teaching about all sorts of topics, from the Renaissance to World War II to where one could purchase the best panini in Florence, Italy. Thank you, Mr. Bucci, for your 34 years of service to the Hamilton-Wenham community. While your daily presence will be missed, your legacy will forever be a part of Hamilton-Wenham. Congrats.
And last up from the Miles River Middle School, Principal Craig Hovey.
Jen Drake, come on up. This is kind of exciting because Jen has actually retired and has come back just for this. So she's got a little bit of insight for the rest of you if you need some pointers.
It's a good thing.
So Jen worked at both Miles River Middle School and Winthrop, and I don't know if there was anywhere else.
A little time here and a little time at the Cutler.
A little here and there. As a speech and language pathologist teaching assistant for 18 years. During my short time knowing Jen, I've known her to be extremely positive, always with a smile, and always willing to go above and beyond for her students. Every time we would engage each other in the office, it would be, "Good morning, how are you?" We'd have a great interchange, and then we would talk about chickens. Jen has chickens, and that's the only school I've ever been to where eggs would mysteriously appear in mailboxes in the teacher's room. So, Jen, I hope that you have found some secrets to success in your retirement, and I hope that you pursue many, many more as you take this journey.
Thanks.
Thank you for all of your work in Hamilton-Wenham. Elly Todd, come on down. I've had the pleasure of working with Elly Todd for 5 of her 23 years in this district, a small fraction of her time there. And I use the word fraction intentionally due to her math expertise. During her years in Hamilton-Wenham, Elly has worn many, many hats in her service to students. She's worked at Bucher and the Miles River Middle School when they were both middle schools, as a 6th grade math teacher, as a combination math and social studies teacher, as an elementary keyboarding teacher, as a middle school tech ed teacher, as an academic transition teacher, as a teaching assistant, as a middle school team leader, as the middle school teacher in charge, and as a peer leader, student council advisor, and 8th grade advisor. That is a lot of hats. Elly, it's time to clean out your closet and pare down your hat collection to just one, your I can do whatever I want hat. So on behalf of everyone at Miles River and the district, I want to thank you for your dedication to the students and families of Hamilton Wenham, and we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time in retirement and enjoy the next steps of your journey. Thank you. Thank you. Bonnie McGarrell, where are you? Ah, there she is. That's okay. I warned you about the fish comments. Bonnie has been a key member of our Miles River faculty and team for the past 16 years as a special education teacher and as a teaching assistant before that. Bonnie has always put the needs and the best interests and needs of her students first and above all else. And she has collaborated with and sometimes stood firm against parents and administrators and teachers to ensure that those student needs were met. Bonnie is a trusted advisor to me and to our faculty. She is respected by her peers, and she has shared her wealth of knowledge and experience as a mentor and a member of our IST and PBIS teams. Whenever students in Bonnie's class make a positive contribution or have a success, they receive a star to place somewhere in the room. It's a small but incredibly powerful gesture of success and represents Bonnie's unwavering support and belief in them. These students come back year after year to visit Bonnie as a testament to the relationship she has built. On behalf of everyone at Miles River and the district as well, I want to thank Bonnie for her dedication to the students and families of Hamilton Wenham and hope you enjoy the next steps. You will always be a star in our book, and I hope you come back to visit us.
Thank you so much.
I also wanted to recognize two other retirees who could not be here with us tonight. Longtime Bucher School custodian Joe Bourgeois is retiring, and reading specialist at the Cutler School, Mary Lee. So congratulations to both of them. Finally, I want to say thank you to all of our retirees, and may you live long enough to do damage to the pension system. Congratulations. Now let's say go home. Thank you. I wish. I wish. I guess another hour.
Are you recovered from the weekend? I know. It was exhausting.
Yeah, it is. Realize it.
Yeah. It's like I couldn't come up with her name, all of a sudden I got it. Yeah. Yeah. We're on WVIS together. She does a great job.
All right, at this time, still going, right?
Yep.
We're still going, right? All right, still. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to citizens' comments. I see there's still a few people sitting here. If anyone wants to speak. Yep.
Hello. thank you. And to the members of the school committee.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can we just state your name and?
Sure. My name is Kim Valerie Povey, and I'm here with my daughter, Gina Louise DiNapoli, who will introduce herself in a moment too. I'm a parent at the Miles River Middle School. My son, Leon Calvo, is in the 8th grade, and he recently attended the exchange program to Spain, and we hosted a student as well from Burgos, Spain. And I am here to comment on my strong support to have that program continue for the reasons that I would like to share with you, especially as it relates to the positive impact it had on my son, who is 14, who actually celebrated his 14th birthday in Spain. And it was a wonderful experience to be at the dinner table with the host family over a Skype Zoom, singing happy birthday to my son, and actually watching my son translate and speak and be part of that cultural immersion, and to be welcomed into the host family as if he were a member of their family, as we brought in his. 40 years ago, I was an exchange student to Denmark, and that was a positive experience that I had. And what I can say in, according to Eric Arison's social and psychological development, the 8th grade year of development is so important for their sense of identity, because that's the time when they, start to identify who they are, what their values and beliefs are. And I think in preparation for high school, this experience that he had has given him so much confidence, has helped him mature, has made him, prepared him not only as a student for high school, but also as a global citizen. And so I think it was powerful and important, and I'd like to just have my daughter come up and share a few comments that she has as well.
Hello, my name is Gina DiNapoli. Thank you very much for having us here. I myself am a Hamilton Wenham graduate from 2009. Mr. Bucci had been one of my teachers who really did inspire and influence me to kind of think about the past and how it relates to who we are in this moment and how we move forward. After graduating from Hamilton Wenham, I went on to earn a degree in international affairs from the George Washington University, which then took me actually to Spain as a teacher. I worked in the Spanish public school system for 2 years, which further influenced me to go back to school and to get my master's degree in education, which I just graduated with last week from the Harvard Graduate School of Education. I am now a licensed history and social studies teacher. So I say all of this simply because in so many ways, my experience here as a student at through the Hamilton Wenham educational system really inspired me to become a global citizen, to be interested in communities outside of Cape Ann, what that looked like, how I could relate to people that grew up in a completely different cultural system than me. However, the opportunities that I've seen my brother to have and his colleagues to have at the middle school level far exceeds any of the hopes and aspirations that I really would have hoped for when I was a student here. I can say, as somebody who speaks 3 languages, that the ability to perfect or to learn and experience an immersion process leads to neurological, cultural, and intellectual growth within a person. And as much as I can vie that there are amazing programs in language, in history, in the sciences, and math here at Hamilton Wenham. One of the best ways to actually become fluent in a language is to have an immersion experience, because it places the person directly in the context with which that language is used, with the ability to understand the culture of a language and the culture of the people who speak that language. And so while so much of my personal identity has been one that's driven me to kind of pursue the things that I've pursued with the experience and influence from my educators here, it's been really exciting to see how this experience has allowed my brother, who's 14 years old, to really grow as a global citizen, as my mother had pointed out, but also to grow in maturity. He both developed like a stronger sense of himself with his heritage and his identity, and also the ability to see how he could become part of a community that was so far away from Cape Ann. So we both have so much confidence in his confidence going into high school, which is honestly something that I could not have said when I was in his position. And the last thing that I just wanted to say was, one thing that Hamilton Wenham has given me was the ability to build community and to aspire towards being a leader. And I really think that that is something that this type of an immersion program goes hand in hand with, in terms of preparing global citizens who are also leaders in whatever field that they go into. And it gives me so much pride as a graduate from the school system to be able to talk about the experiences of my brother and the organization that is the Hamilton Wenham School System for having provided him this opportunity, much as a way as I identify that experience as being, wow, you are leaders in this field of education, and kind of bridging what you learn in the classroom and bringing it to a global stage. So thank you very much. Yeah.
And just as a final remark, that I would just like to offer that perhaps there are resources available that could be researched, such as ecris.eu, which did list Spain as one of the 25 countries that will do criminal check. So just wanted to add that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Erica Mitchell. My son Christopher is in 8th grade at Miles River as well. And he also traveled to Spain this year, which, so I'm here to just talk in favor of the program. I think it was really an amazing experience for him. He originally wanted to speak Spanish or take Spanish because he plays a lot of soccer. He often plays Spanish-speaking students and wants to know what they're saying on the field for a competitive advantage. But I think for him, just sitting in a classroom and learning Spanish with other Americans just wasn't really doing it for him. So when this opportunity came up, we really encouraged him to go for it. And I think it definitely takes some brave 13-year-olds to be willing to travel to another country. But it's really been an amazing experience for our whole family. First, we hosted Miguel here in September for 2 weeks, actually 2.5 weeks. Got to know him, got to know more about his family and the kind of things they do in Spain, got to know a lot of the other students who came over from Spain. And then so when Christopher went in February, he already knew a little bit about Miguel and his family. And Miguel's mother doesn't speak English, so he was really forced to make sure that he was communicating in Spanish on a daily basis, and just understanding like what's for dinner, what time is dinner, what time should I be ready for school in the morning or for the bus. And I think being immersed in a culture and actually staying with a family who's in that country is just a totally different experience than traveling to a country and staying in a hotel and seeing sights. So it's really inspired him to further his Spanish education. He actually requested to be an honors Spanish next year, I think largely as a result of going on this trip. So I think it's really important. One of our district's missions is to create or help our students become successful members of a global economy. So providing them with opportunities to see the world beyond Hamilton Wenham, which really is kind of a limited bubble, I think is really, really important. So I just want to share our experience as a family who sent a child to Spain last year. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brian Menegoni at 1 Laurel Drive in Wenham. I don't think I could possibly do any better with what the speakers had just said about what this trip had done for their children. My daughter participated this past year. It was a wonderful experience for her. She's certainly grown as an individual. It was a wonderful experience for our family because we got to welcome in somebody else's child into our household. I think we learned a lot about ourselves. The only thing I could really add was my experience working with Kevin Sano and her team, and also the organization that put together this trip. We were willing to send our daughter across the ocean to stay in Europe with a family that we had no idea who they were, and that really for me came through working with Kevin Sano for a number of years, knowing the level of care, thought that she puts into these programs and the experiences, but also in working with the organization that ultimately ran this trip. I felt very safe, and I knew that my daughter would have a wonderful experience, both here with the student who visited us and when she was over in Spain as well. Thank you.
Hi, Josh Holbrook, 163 Main Street. So I'll echo a little bit of about what Brian said. In that I have not had a child who's has been to Spain yet, but would like to go in the coming year. And I just think that's a critically important part or opportunity for kids to be able to enjoy a culture and an experience outside of what they experience here. And like any parent, like every parent here, there's nothing more important to me than the safety of my children. Just like any of you, I would go to any length to protect them, but there are bounds to that. At some point, you have to have faith and trust in them to navigate things for themselves, but also faith and trust in the people who are guiding them, and that, in this case, Kevin Sano, who's developed this program. And I do have faith in her and the school system here, the administrators and the leaders here, to develop a program that's safe and enriching for the kids. And so with that said, I would be excited and enthusiastic about sending my daughter to Spain next year, and I would be sorely disappointed if we couldn't do that, because programs like this are a big part of the reason why I and many others moved to Hamilton Wenham, because it's such a unique experience.
Anybody else? So I just want to take a moment to thank all of you for coming. It really means a lot to us to actually when people come and support causes that we do here within the district. And often we're sort of speaking to an empty room here, so I love seeing this, and I love hearing you talk, and had no problem letting you guys go on. Usually we try and keep it under 2 minutes, but I just wanted to hear everything you had to say, because I too feel that this is an important opportunity, and we'll get to this a little bit more.
Just go right through now?
Yeah, we could actually move right on. I have nothing in my report with. No, really? You're just calling it in?
Retirees.
No, right, done?
I did the
Done?
retirees.
See that?
Just quickly, I just want to say I'm Linda Rich.
Identify yourself. Yeah, okay.
What?
You weren't identifying
Okay.
yourself, so I just...
Linda Rich, my daughter's a 7th grader. She is really excited about the possibility of the Spain trip. She is excited to host, and as she's filling out the applications, just the thought about what the opportunity will be for her, and like I feel growth in her just thinking about going. So I feel very comfortable. I am a protective mom, and I feel like just it's very professionally set up, and I have all the confidence in them, and no worries whatsoever. So I really hope that you can support the trip. Thank you.
Jump over the consent agenda for a moment.
Kevin to,
What's that? So Kevin, want to come up?
Kevin to, we're skipping to you.
Don't really have anything prepared. I thought maybe if you had questions, I'd be happy to answer questions, but I want to thank everybody who did come out in support of this. 10 years ago, when I tried to move an exchange
into the school, and prior to that, because I've been at the high school and in the district, I think, almost 30 years, 28 years, I don't know, I've lost count. But when I started, we had a program to France. It was a homestay immersion program for 2 weeks, and we hosted students from France. They came and stayed at my house for several years. The adults would stay with us, and our students went to France, to Angers, for 2 years. That whole exchange program was put together by the French teachers in our district. When we eliminated French, which was a sad thing in the middle school, which killed our French program at the high school, the exchange program died. I always believe that we should have an exchange program for our students because it is such an enriching experience. And as Gina, I never had Gina in class, but I have Leon, her brother, said there's nothing like an immersion experience where you have to communicate, you have to get your needs met. So I had always dreamed about that, bringing that back, and 10 years ago when Matt Fox was in the district, I took it to him and he said, absolutely not. So it was like dead in the water. And then when I went to Craig with the idea and he was like, yeah, let's do this, let's try this, we put it in place. But it wasn't without having thought about it for years. Sue Boswell, who runs Carousel Tours, I met her in college at Stonehill, so we've known each other for many years. And every year she would send me information and say, are you interested in doing this exchange? And every year I would say, no, I don't think so, or no, I can't. My principal won't support it. And then the timing was right. Everything came together, and I went to Craig, and he was like, yes, this is great. And we sent our first exchange. It was in February of last year, which seems like it was already years ago. My experience there, I came back and I said, wow, I cannot believe this is the first time that I have taken kids on an exchange myself. Why didn't I do this 30 years ago? We do a lot of travel, but this program was just amazing. And to have 8th graders, to watch them just grow, and to have them in my class, and they just finished taking the STAMP test, which is the proficiency-based, standards proficiency-based exam, and to see their scores, it's amazing what these kids can do at the 8th grade level. And they're asking me, can I tell them the scores? And I know what their scores are, but I said, I'm not ready to give you the scores yet till we have all of the 8th grade completed. But I have to keep saying, remember, you're 8th graders, it's okay. But it's mind-blowing what they are doing in the 8th grade, and I think it's because of this program. So for me, I would be terribly disappointed if it weren't approved. I know the students have been talking about it. They came into the 7th grade and were asking, are we going to have this opportunity? So here we are with a week left, a lot of work to be done to make this happen. So I hope that, you will approve this. And if you have questions, I'm here to answer those the best that I can.
I want to make a motion to approve.
When can we bring French back?
Excuse me?
When can we bring French back?
I would love to.
Whenever we're willing to support it with money.
We only speak French in my house.
I know. But both languages are thriving, and the students are taking the STAMP in Mandarin as well, and they're doing quite well. So I'm really, it's been a great ride, and the way we're teaching languages has changed over the last, 10 years. It's proficiency-based, and the kids can do so much. And I was hoping that some of them, that we would have been able to do a formal presentation about our trip, but when it was scheduled, I was traveling, and then it didn't happen, but next time.
Thank you so much for what you do for our students in language and making them global people. Thank you.
So, no questions? I can sit down now?
Make a
Want me
motion,
to make a
please.
motion? I move that we approve the 8th grade field trip to Spain in April of 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Or no discussion on a motion?
Discussion?
So at the last meeting, my question was,
we require parents that are known to us to be FBI fingerprinted in order to go on a field trip to the Museum of Science. Now we are required to have anyone who's a volunteer by law that will have unmonitored contact with children to participate in a Corey check. So now we're going to send them to another country. And what was the process for vetting those people? And so I did not get any additional information. So when I contacted Sue Boswell, she said those are people who are known by the principal. So we don't really have any information about, it didn't even sound like they sounded like here they do home checks. They didn't sound like they did home checks
No,
there.
they do home checks. So the gentleman who started this exchange program with Sue Boswell, because Sue's son went to Bordeaux years ago. So this whole program was developed between Sue and the director of the school, Julio Cometa. So they know all of the school, all of the children. It's a privately run school. So the kids that are going there, when they come in, they have exchanges in England as, I think they're 10 years old, they go to England, and then they come to the U.S., so they have 2 different exchanges. So there are home visits. He handpicks all of the students. There's an application process similar to what the application process is through Sue Boswell. Everything is done online, but there are home visits. So Sue has a team of people who go out and they will visit every home of our host families. The parents here can attest to that, and they do the same thing on the other side. What they don't have is a fingerprinting process, but it's, you know, it's in good faith. And, you know, when we went over there, never once did I feel afraid. The students, you know, I think we have the better deal because our kids are receiving the kids first, and they are scheduled to arrive on August 29th. And from the families, it's not just, you know, there's communication every single day. There's students, the relationships that have been built. You know, our students, our 8th graders, they Skype, they text, they talk to their host families daily. So the relationships are there. The parents become friends. There's lots of communication, although many times it's the students who are the translators. But at any time, if there's a question, you know, we involve the parents. And so it's been really great. Julio, when he was here, he has a WhatsApp account that has all of the parents in it, all of the kids in it, and it was constant. There's constant communication. So this is a relationship that's been built over, you know, 15 years at least, and I've known Sue for a lot of years, and every year it's like, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? So when the time was right, I wasn't, you know, interviewing different companies. I knew that if I was going to run an exchange, that I would use Sue Boswell because I trusted her, and I have other colleagues that have used her, and it's always been great reviews. So that's the process.
So that, you know, when I asked her directly, she did not say that. What she said was that these were people known to the director.
Oh, yeah.
So that would have been good information for her to share.
Okay.
Or even information for us to get. But my question was, does this law apply to this program? And I didn't get an answer to that, so.
United States law wouldn't apply to Spain.
Okay, so we're not required to have this done because it's
Massachusetts law.
okay, so if these kids were going to New Hampshire, we wouldn't be required to do it.
For our school personnel, we are required to do.
Okay, that was my question.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? 4. All those opposed?
Thank you.
Abstain? Thanks for coming out, guys.
Thank you.
Jump back to the consent agenda. Get minutes and warrants. Me?
Superintendent or chair report?
Consent?
So we don't have
So
a
I'm
chair
asking
or
no chair or
superintendent?
no superintendent report
No.
tonight? Okay,
We actually said that before we,
I didn't hear it, sorry.
Me either.
Does anyone want to pull anything from the consent agenda?
I move that we, Hamilton Wenham School Committee approves the consent agenda as is with minutes from May 10th, 2019 and warrants from May 24th, 2019. There can be no changes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, is that getting ready? Don, ready for the treasurer's report? Come up here if you'd like.
Don. Good. Oh, you sound terrible. You got allergies?
This is the, semi-annual treasurer's report to the school committee, and this one is through April 30th. The schedule is basically the same, the numbers of course change. There's one, under the primary roles and responsibilities of the treasurer, there's one change, one addition, which is the last one. It says, process all positive pay transactions with the bank. And I'll just give you a very little story, but back in February, I look at the payroll account and I look at the vendor account every day. And I saw in the vendor account a check number that was cashed by the bank that was 100 numbers higher than what we were currently using. So I contacted the bank. If you looked at the check, it looked exactly like our checks, but we didn't write that check. Now, the bank stands by us, gave us the $900 back, and what happens is somebody forges a check, because the check was written to somebody in Illinois, it was cashed in Florida, and they sell the check. So this $900 check, they could have sold to somebody on the street for $500, and the person would go and cash the check, try to cash the check for $900. This one happened to come out of a group that had just recently been investigated of Chicago, Illinois firefighters who ran a big scam in this regard. So basically, positive pay, every time I write checks, I send a file to the bank that has date, check number, amount, and the person's name. So whenever the bank gets a check, it has to match to what I've sent. And if it doesn't, and this hasn't happened, 10 o'clock in the morning, they send me an email, I have to answer them by 2 o'clock. But if I don't get back to them, they still won't cash the check until they hear from us. So that's a new role that we have, a new responsibility we have this year. And the assistant treasurer, as you'll see later on, has been trained in that. Also, since April 30th, and it was supposed to be last Monday, Eastern Bank has...
Wait just a second. We don't have a chair anymore, so do we have to?
Oh, he does well.
We don't have an assistant chair either, so we don't really have someone who's in control of the meeting.
I've controlled these meetings before, I'll tell you.
I know you have. How many years were you chair?
5.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the riffraff.
Okay. And then another thing you'll note is, as of last Monday, June 3rd, Eastern Bank, our bank, was putting in a new cash management system. That's the system the treasurer uses to do everything, write checks, process payroll, do transfers, look at statements. The system is fairly close to the other one you have to learn where to go on this system, because they've changed that around a lot. But I got an email, actually while I was at home, Friday afternoon, that they're delaying it for 3 or 4 weeks because they found some bugs. Okay, the next statement scheduled is the general fund update, the same accounts that we had before. As you know, some of the accounts like the cafeteria, the user fees, and the iPads build up during the year, and at the end of June, we transfer that money into the depository account. I mean, Vinnie knows how much of each needs to be transferred. So that money on June 30th will move back into the depository account. So there's not, there's some changes. The vendor account is negative as in July 1st, because in July we're writing some June checks that don't get, the money doesn't go into the bank until July, so it shows up as a negative. And similarly, these are the student activity accounts. Of course, most of the student activity account money is in the high school.
So these balances at the beginning of July, so the student activity accounts are not required to go down to zero. They are allowed to roll money over to the next year.
Yes. The only thing that is required is that the high school can have no more than $25,000 in their checking account. And like here, they have $25 plus last month's interest, and that moves out the next month.
And what do? Sweep it out to somewhere? To the savings, right? You sweep it to the savings, yeah.
Next schedule, I think we added last time, is the detail of all the student activities at the high school. The balances on July 1st, the deposits, the spending, and the balance on April 30th. And of course, by far, the one that generates the most money is DECA. They have about, 175, 180 students. They go to competition different places in the country. So there's a lot of money generated there. And you'll see that we have, and you've approved several new activities in the past year, like the robotics club, the life skills, the high school gives back. And those are some new accounts. At least the Heights handles basically all of this. And the auditors have just completed an audit of student activities through 2018, and actually the report just came in today, and Vinnie hadn't looked at it yet.
If a class account, activity account has any amount left over,
It goes.
It's withdrawn.
Within 6 months, they have to take that money. That's why you'll see in the class of 2018, the balance is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually had a few years ago, we couldn't, the class president and vice president had no interest in filing the paperwork to take the money, and we split the money up between the other classes, is what we did. But this class president, within a month of graduation, she had got the paperwork and took the money out.
And then, so we've got a few that have been completely inactive. So
Right.
concession stands, equipment reserve, I'm assuming is,
Well,
that really a student activity account?
That's part of the money that comes from the concessions revenue. Most of it goes to the junior class.
Yeah.
But part of it is set aside in case they have to buy anything. Like last year, they bought a coffee pot or something like that. So that could go a year without being used, depending if they have to buy anything. Last year, if you remember, any ones that hadn't been active for a couple of years, we eliminated.
Yeah.
And
so are we looking
probably
at these
next
fall?
Next fall, look at the same thing.
Okay.
Look at it. So that's 2 pages. The next is the scholarship update, and the one major thing, item to note on the scholarship update is the addition of $153,000 for a new scholarship, the Dr. Adam Snavely scholarship. And and prior months, you've approved that. You've approved setting up that new scholarship. General receipts, the ones that are monthly, basically they're all on target. The assessments, the Chapter 70, 71, the MSB debt reimbursement, and as you'll see later, that's the last one we'll get.
Right. And what's this charter school reimbursement? Did somebody just stop going, or what happened?
We have somebody evidently have somebody in a charter school.
So,
and what they do is
this a receivable, or is this an expenditure?
the state gives money and then takes it away.
Oh.
We also have a charter school assessment, which is usually more than the charter school revenue that we get.
I think it's 50% of the cost in the first year. They actually reimburse the sending district, but then it sunsets after a couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this comes on
I didn't know that.
the Chapter 70.
That's good to know.
And the choice and charter comes on a monthly report that the Treasury Department sends out. Grants are on basically on schedule, because they're done in student services, but Vinnie does monitor the financial part of it. Debt service. The big change is we no longer have any debt for the middle school, high school. End of April 28th, I made the final wire transfer to pay off that debt. So this takes a lot of money. This is a big item for the towns that they won't have next year. I've said it before, but I found it very interesting in the fact that I was on all the committees, in the building committee and everything to build the middle school, and I was able to make the wire transfer to make the final payment. And
Talk about seeing it through.
I know when Peter Frazier was here, I mentioned that we used the same bond counsel and the same lawyer back then, 23 years ago. And the last one is the assistant treasurer training, and that's the same. He's coming in because I'm going to be out one of the paid times in August. He's coming in July just to review what he's done, and we'll go over the new Eastern Bank, assuming it's going to be in effect by then. That's it. I thank Vinnie because I generate all the figures, but Vinnie also checks them, and make sure they're okay.
Thank you, Don.
Thanks, Don.
Okay, see you in 6 months.
Okay. Some of us maybe sooner. We might see you sooner. You never know. Yeah, I think she's still busy, yeah. Wouldn't want that to go to waste. Did you have any of the cake? Did anybody have any of the cake? Was it good? Yeah. It looked good. It was super cute.
At least it was smaller this year.
Well, yeah. Although it was a nice crowd.
What?
It was a nice crowd of people here.
Oh, usually we have this huge crowd.
Right. Right.
That's okay.
We appreciate it.
I was going to say, getting a head start, right? It's cool in there.
The best air conditioning Bucher can buy.
Yeah, I was like, where'd she go?
Come on up.
It's only one door out of this.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh.
So here is my annual report. It's been a good year. I think that you do such. Some of the slides you'll see are similar to last year, but I know not all of you were here last year. So the department overview, we have 5 full-service kitchens obviously at the 5 schools. At the high school, we have a manager and ideally 4 staff people. At the middle school, manager and ideally 2 other staff, and then 2 at each of the elementary schools. Excuse me. This particular year with staffing has been very difficult. We had an employee pass away in December, I believe, or January. We've had another employee that fell down with a broken wrist, so she's been out, and somebody else with a really long-term illness who's been out on FMLA. So I just want to say that the staff that are here are incredible. They, you know, what do we need to do? Where do we go? How do we make it work? Finding subs is not easy when you're asking somebody to come in for 3 hours for not a lot of pay. And I just think as we move forward, we might want to look at other ways of recruiting as well. The staff that we're looking for aren't necessarily computer savvy and on School Spring and all that, and it, you know, it might mean a flyer at Crosby's, it might mean thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't possibly expect my staff to go through next year what they went through this year. As far as the department overview.
What do we pay someone who subs for a day?
Start at $12 an hour, minimum wage.
Okay.
And then go up the steps, but we have a lot of people that are at that $12.
Yeah, for a sub, so they would get $36 to come in.
Right. $35 to get fingerprinted.
Right.
So, yeah.
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 So maybe we could look at that,
That would be helpful.
you know, because it's short money, right? You know, and if somebody subs for 5 days, that's, yeah, so maybe we should look at that.
Thank you. As far as what we do, beyond the daily meal service and food preparation, we certainly administer the federal program, as well as the state regulations around the program. Personnel management, like I talked about. We try to do a lot of cafeteria to classroom connections, whatever nutrition education we can get in there. I participate in the District Wellness Advisory Committee, and then catering for special events, things like tonight, which generates a little extra revenue for our department. As far as trends for reimbursable meals, we are up, which is nice. We're up to 34% this year. In a district with our demographics, that's about average. Certainly, you know, if in districts where there's universal free meals, it's certainly a lot higher than that. And students participating in the program, in the free reduced program, have stayed pretty steady over the past 2 years.
Now, what do you think attributes to the increase in participation rate? Because I see it's gone from 31 to 33 to 34%, so I just...
I will say, personnel. We've made some changes over the last couple of years. We have a manager at the high school who's great. She actually came from Panera, so there's, you know, it's a good clientele. I can tell you that the manager at the middle school, well, all of them are just like the most pleasant people. I think, you know, people are finding the department a little more welcoming. You know, it takes time. People stay for a long time, so it takes time to kind of get the right people in the right places. And I would say that. And certainly having those people in the right places, they have worked so hard to put out new products, come up with new ideas, or I'll come up with new ideas and they run with them. And so we do have more menu items and things like that that appeal to the kids. So as far as the menus and the food, we serve 8 different options for meals each day at the high school, 4 to 5 at the middle school, and 4 options every day at the elementary schools. And as you can see on that chart, which is, I don't expect you to read it, but we follow the National School Lunch Program meal plan, which is we need 5 components, and one of those components is vegetables, and the vegetables, there are 6 subgroups. So a lot of it is a mathematical planning menus. So there are a lot of restrictions, but it does open opportunities for us as well.
I wish people could see this, because it's like broccoli rabe, mustard greens.
And green beans are not a green vegetable.
You know.
And a lot of information we get is from the School Nutrition Association. I am currently finishing my year as president, and I've been proud and honored to represent the state and represent Hamilton-Wenham on the state and national level. And some of my goals that we were happy to achieve was helping with hunger solutions across the state. I always think it's kind of funny that people say you're from Hamilton-Wenham and that's one of your initiatives, and it's like, well, there's hunger everywhere.
Yeah.
So That and also try to work with the allied organizations. The School Nutrition Association works with the MASBO and the MASSC and MASSS and all the other ones. But I tried to get a more working relationship with those groups so that they know really what we do. I think a lot of times the school lunch program is not on the people's, if there's no problem, they're not thinking about it, but there's a lot that goes into it. So some great accomplishments this year. We did have our review, the administrative review, where DESE comes in. They're on a 3-year review cycle. So we were reviewed in 2015, and now again in 2018. It's pretty intense. We do a lot up front online, and then they come in for 2 days and observe the program. We did get a few small findings, but overall it was a great experience, a great review. There is legislation up to maybe say that it's going to turn it back into a 5-year cycle, which would be great, because 3 years is like they're knocking on your door before you even put the paperwork away. So we'll see what happens there. We brought in an outside trainer to do knife skills with the staff, which was a great opportunity from John Stalker Institute at Framingham State College. I mean, I do a lot of training with the staff, but I think oftentimes having somebody else come in is pretty effective. We transitioned to a new web-based POS system. We went from a NutriKid system to a Mosaic system. Not a huge change. Working with the technology department, they said, this isn't going to be a huge change, but not being a tech person, I'm still getting used to it. But all in all, it was pretty smooth, and most importantly, it was smooth for the kids and families. And like I said, we participate in the Wellness Advisory Committee, which updated our wellness policy, which we're anxiously awaiting when that will be approved.
First reads tonight.
Excellent. Because that was, just as a FYI, that was finding on our administrative review in 2015 and in 2018. We had 3 interns come and work with us from the dietetic intern program, so that was great, and that was a great opportunity there again to have somebody from the outside. My staff is so small that they don't really have a lot of opportunity to go out to trainings and things. They do a lot of webinars, they do a lot of great things, but it's also nice to have people come in. We received a grant for equipment and a small stipend to promote hot chocolate milk at the high school. It's the Dairy Council that is always trying to give away money, so I applied for it and got it. They want to push milk, and I guess that's the way to push milk, and more kids did drink milk. But it's essentially just chocolate milk that's heated up in a fancy crock pot. And then we also did a pilot breakfast program at the middle school, which kind of turned out not to be very effective. The kids don't have a lot of time. We're very limited at what we could serve them. And then this was actually a program on the interns. She went into the classrooms and talked to the kids. And the good news is most kids in our district have breakfast at home. So it wasn't really a big need for it, but we gave it a shot. So those are the highlights from this year. And I think that is, did I skip over professional development? I'm sorry. You did. Professional development, it is required from the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act in 2010. They did make requirements for us to make sure that we do proper training for our nutrition professionals. So it's a certain amount of hours depending upon how many hours the employee works. And so that was like the knife skills, bringing that in, webinars, bringing that in. So we do a lot of training on that.
So do you know how close you came to being a break-even? Or are anticipating?
Anticipating a break-even.
Exactly break-even?
Yep.
That's amazing.
Maybe. Yeah. Barring any horrible thing happen in the next 6 days.
Yeah. Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Super. What's the most popular meal?
Still pizza. Always pizza.
Of course.
Thank you. It seems like you had a really difficult year with personnel, and it takes a good leader and a great leader to keep the ship sailing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have much in the way of food waste
No, we don't. That comes up sometimes, different groups in the schools, but it's obviously a global problem. We do not. In the kitchens, we do not. We haven't really done a lot of looking in the barrels with the kids. Just not, just obviously just observing, not checking it out. But I was thinking I might have an intern next year, and I might ask her to do a plate waste study. That's a good job for an intern, since they have to go through the trash barrels. But in general, we've tried, I know we've tried a few schools to do the composting and things, and we just really don't have a lot.
I was asked just to push for more vegetarian options again, so.
There are always vegetarian options, so.
Yeah, but they're not good.
They're not finding
They're
them.
not good.
So
It's not enough for a 250-pound teenage boy.
Yeah.
Middle school is always all you can eat fruits and vegetables.
Right.
Yeah, so. But he does like the salad, but the peppers have been missing. So. It's a big topic at our house.
Produce is a tough.
It's some sort of special peppers you have that are amazing that he just.
We used to get suntan peppers.
Maybe that was it.
Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Okay, that's it. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, now I'm going to approve anyone who's got a subcommittee charge.
Yeah, I do have a charge. I would suggest that we table these charges till the new superintendent comes, and possibly do a workshop with the transition involved with MASC, the superintendent and whatnot, just, to talk about our charges and, what we're doing. I think that would be.
I don't know why our subcommittee charges as a committee would need to involve the new superintendent, that this is strictly committee.
It might be helpful at least to discuss those, so that, it might be helpful to have a workshop so that we all can discuss, acclimate her to us and us to her and stuff. Policy working group does have a charge that we approved, but.
I have no problem tabling the subcommittee charges, because I know Michelle and I didn't even get a chance to speak, or with Carrie for that matter, about our charge. I still don't know why we would need the superintendent, but I have no problem sort of pushing it to a future meeting. So we need to take a vote on that, or?
Okay.
We can table it till.
You table it, I think.
All right. So we'll just table that for a future meeting.
Okay. Is that going to be the next, well, probably not the next meeting. Okay.
All right, so first reading of the wellness policy.
So this was.
Page 62.
Yep, so. Do you want to introduce it, Mike?
So this is the wellness policy that was sent from Danielle Petrucci, who is our curriculum leader for phys ed and health. Catherine was part of that, and I know, Michelle, you've been part of that group now as well. So it follows a script that the state puts out as far as guidelines go for what the section should look like, and then the wellness committee wrote the individual sections, A through J.
All right, when
It's a first read, so it's just questions. If nobody has any.
So this is the policy, and then they've also developed, a decent-sized guideline book that addresses how they implement each one of these things, so. And this is originally, they're still in here, Mike. So we talked about removing these for more information, read page, like I'm looking under F, the last sentence is, for more information, read page 13. I think we removed all of those. Is that what you remember?
I do.
Okay. So they have this guidebook, and the original policy they wrote to us has references to those guidebooks, but those guidebooks are really just a process book for personnel. So the policy wouldn't
Doesn't need them.
need to have that. Especially if the guidebook changes, then you'd have to go back and,
Right.
so.
So, and then under G, it says, for more information, read page 15, the
Yeah,
same
that
one?
should
Okay.
not be there.
Yep.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. Anywhere you see it's under H and I and J. Yeah. Which, by the way, it's a very well cross-referenced.
Yes.
So you're getting rid of all the page numbers on all the bullets?
Yeah,
Those
the-
sentences,
basically
yeah.
The last,
sentence
yeah.
and-
In each one, yeah.
Easy.
D,
So.
C.
All right, do we need a vote on this, or?
Just if you have any
Just
feedback.
where Anybody has questions or feedback, because the
Policy-
policy working group is meeting Monday night.
Yep.
Questions or anything?
Seems like we're good.
Did you make any
And,
changes?
and then this will go on the agenda for the next meeting?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this is hugely different than what is currently in our policy book, but this meets the legal requirements and also the requirements that the DSE, well, those are the legal requirements. And it's been well done and well vetted with that group.
It looked good, so I wasn't
Yep.
sure how. Okay.
2 weeks from tonight.
16th,
For
right?
second read, right.
Perfect. And then we'll vote on
Vote,
it.
and then
Yeah.
it becomes policy.
Thank you.
How a bill becomes a law.
I have this to go.
And if we get it done before Donna retires, it'll get uploaded. And if not, well, then.
Okay.
Thank you.
When is Donna's last day?
The 28th?
Okay.
Whatever that last Friday in June is. I think that's 28th. Yes.
All right, we have transition planning here on the agenda next.
Jeff had sent everybody, we've done the research on the question about
Yep.
search firms, and
Yep.
so, page 65, Exhibit G. Jeff sends his regrets, his daughter's graduated from high school this week, his oldest, so he's at a Tewksbury High School graduation event.
None of us can relate to how difficult that
The
is.
ceremony's not until the weekend, but he's doing something else tonight that's graduation
Right.
related.
Where's my pen? Oh, there it is.
Congratulations, Jeff. I'm sure you're watching.
So,
Just so you would have to go through a procurement process to get, looks like, as he said, looks like number 2, where you have to get 3 quotes.
Mm-hmm.
and actually,
Name 3 right now.
right, Glenn did send me an email with a list of, that I could share out. I just haven't.
And who would start that process? Would
So,
it be Jeff?
I don't know, but
To
who would start
procure-
that process?
yeah,
The
yes, to get
procurement
the- to get
process?
the
I think
bids.
it needs to start here.
Comes from the school committee.
Yeah, we need to decide that's what we want to do.
We need to make a
Decide that's
plan.
what you want to do, and then I would say somebody on the committee would then be authorized to contact
And get bids,
and get quotes, yes.
quotes.
So, yeah. Excuse me. So now I'm sort of having, remembering from 2 weeks ago, that this is where I think we're gonna need someone to start taking the lead a little in getting this moving forward for the long term. Just to begin that process. So I don't know if we want to designate someone here tonight and, to go and get this rolling, because obviously now we know what we need to do. I remember asking 2 weeks ago about whether or not we need to put together a subcommittee And the answer in the room seemed to be that once we go through this process, they will come up with creating a search committee in all of that process. So, and I also, 2 weeks ago, remember saying that I do not want to be part of this process this time around. So I'm once again just reiterating that I'm taking my name out of contention for sort of heading this up.
I suggest, as a first step, what you have to do in number 2 is have somebody develop a written purchase description.
Right.
So that would probably be the first thing to do.
Yep.
And beyond that, before you then authorize somebody to send that to different firms that would then respond to it.
I'm willing to do that. Yep. So at the next meeting, our goal would be to approve some sort of like letter that would be going out.
Yeah, it's a
We would like to purchase services to do this by this date. Yeah. Okay.
Criteria of what you're looking to get.
Yeah.
And then you would send that to MASC and then NASDAQ and any other search firms that you'd like, and then they would respond with a quote for the price for that.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Unless someone else wants to do it, you're welcome to do it.
If
No,
no
and-
one was going to, I would say I would do it, but perfect, Michelle.
No, and I think I can, I don't know if I can pull it off. I will attempt to pull it off by the Friday ahead of time. If not, then I'll email it to people in advance. Okay.
Not worried about that. Thank you.
So,
Michelle.
does anybody know what that date is?
So while we're talking about transition planning, I just sort of want to let you know, because I know, Michelle, you.
14th. Just putting down this date.
Give me a second.
I'm putting this date down because I'll forget if I don't do it. Yep. Thank you.
That we're still in negotiations with Dr. Kuchenberger. I just got an email back from Naomi at like 4:30 this afternoon, so we're still in the back and forth process. But I just wanted to update everyone where we are and that, why it wasn't on the.
So do we want to have a meeting next week to
So,
approve that
well, I mean, that's
instead?
what I
Or
was
otherwise we have to wait for
wondering
2 weeks?
If, we get this, hopefully we get this banged out, that, the formalization, formalizing the thing should only take a few minutes, that, hopefully we can get 4 people into a room to just make it legit. I was thinking about that again, late this afternoon, just, knowing the time is of the essence. I'm hard pressed to sort of give a date, try and get a date in that right now, and I know why we'd want to, but just in case, I guess you could always cancel, right? It's easier to
It's easier to cancel than it is to schedule.
So, oh, trust me, that's what we're running into right now.
I know.
So,
So when do you think we could?
I don't think we would need much time. It's just sort of can we get 4 people in a room next week at some point? And I think most of us at the table have the same problem, where it's baseball and softball playoff season, so it's really tough knowing what days are available, because the calendars are.
An event on
It's like if
Tuesday,
you lose
or
today, then you gotta play
Wednesday, and on
Tuesday.
Thursday.
You win today, you play on Thursday.
Yeah, I don't know the baseball schedule.
So, but
Michelle,
that's what
do
I'm
you?
saying.
They're
It's,
playing Friday.
No, they're playing Thursday. It changed
It changed to
this
tomorrow?
week. Yeah. And they're going to try and make it earlier, because the school last minute put their information in. And so they're playing tomorrow, and the coach was talking about getting them out of school early to play.
Reggie.
Oops, should I not say that out loud?
Happens.
It happens. Remember when they won soccer, or They had to go to some championship, they had to switch power blocks so kids could get out on time and stuff, yeah.
So the game's tomorrow.
So are those
Not
games
Friday.
right after school, right? And then, so that's the thing. So if they win tomorrow, then you don't know what's going on next week.
Actually, if you give, I can find a schedule, hold on, because MIA will have a schedule up.
Did they? I haven't seen it.
And again, this, is it gonna be,
It's a
does it need to be a
single
full
elimination, yeah.
meeting?
I could make anything
For baseball?
after 9.
Yeah.
Yep. I can also make anything before 6 a.m.
I mean, that's really, we need to get in 4 people in the room for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
not long.
I could
So-
do Tuesday after 7.
Can we do,
You can do a doodle poll if I
yes.
don't.
And then we'll do one, we'll throw that together.
Well, if the
See
four,
who can
if
get-
the.
Do you want me to do that right now?
The 5 of
Yeah,
us
please.
right now can think of a date, then we can kind of figure that out and see if.
I think it's just easier.
Doesn't understand what you're trying to do, because it's,
Google Homes all over my house now, so all of a sudden they'll start talking. Really, what the hell is that?
I was like trying to look at my schedule and got
because obviously we'll keep everyone in the loop, and again, we just need 4 people in the room.
No, it's Snowden.
Actually,
Or it's- No, tomorrow's Mystic Valley at home.
Yeah, Mystic Valley at home at what time? Is it 3?
15.
4:15? Okay.
And then the second round is Monday at 4 o'clock at Madison Park High School in Boston.
At what time?
4 o'clock.
Woo-hoo.
Right in the middle of town.
where's it at?
Madison Park.
Madison Park.
Madison Park.
It wouldn't be, that's not near Franklin Park, though. That's not the stadium there. That's White Stadium. I don't
It
think
says at Madison Park High School, so I don't know where. It could be at Franklin Park Stadium. I don't know where they play their home games.
So we agreed on what day?
They were just gonna send out a quick doodle poll, and then we'll see if we get 4 people in the room one day, and that'll be the day. That way we can include Gene and Carrie too.
I'm not sure if this is going to be coming from my school account or my home account, so just know that it really is me.
Now someone else is trying to find our schedules. All right, is there anything else that we think we need to?
Under transition planning?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I know there's like a
So,
bajillion.
I'm curious if we know about our assistant superintendent. He was appointed by another school district. Have we received any word from him?
I haven't. No,
Okay.
and I haven't either. I actually haven't seen him in like a month. Like, every time I come in here, he's not around, or his door's
Just
closed.
'cause-
I just haven't been around as much.
It was just weird because I was, I know the clock would start ticking, and his contract is weird because it says in numbers that he has to give us 60 days notice, but it says in letters he has to give us 90 days notice. So I think he would have a decent argument that it's 60 days, and we would have a decent argument that it's 90 days, but ultimately you don't really want to be arguing about those kind of things, so.
What's my tomorrow look like?
And where did you see that he was appointed?
It was on the agenda of Masco, the same night that we had our last meeting.
Which was?
2 weeks ago.
Does the new superintendent know that she's going to have to hire an assistant
So,
superintendent?
yeah, we mentioned the fact that it could happen. Obviously, Jeff is still under contract, so he can't do anything, but we gave her scenarios that could possibly come.
You mean during the interview or in your discussions after?
So we had a negotiation committee meeting with her last Thursday?
Friday.
So she's aware.
Yes.
I just didn't want her to be blindsided.
I was hoping to get her contract signed first and then drop everything on her, but it didn't work out that way. But she's still.
Also not good to be deceptive right up front.
Deceptive is what she's like, oh, by the way. Again, it's not official, so.
I'm just wondering, has anyone reached out to their schools just to talk with the building principals to see, just touch base with them in this transition phase?
No.
No? I would just, if you could just shoot an email, just let them know that we're here to support them. I know a lot of us are so busy and work out of town, but just a simple email could go a long way in reassuring them and.
Thanks, because I actually haven't done that
Yeah.
to all of them myself. Anything else with this very busy?
Do we want to talk about the tentative schedule?
That's next.
Okay.
All right, moving on, the school committee 2019-2020 meeting schedule, page 66.
So is our next meeting June 19th? Have you, or what's the date did we have scheduled for our next meeting?
June 19th.
June 19th, okay. I would suggest that we have a meeting beginning of July, since we have a new superintendent, some kind of workshop, schedule that with a workshop for the transition. So, and, you know, so we can also discuss her transition and hers and our expectations. Ours as in school committee.
I understand.
And
I
then.
think you're looking at July 10th. Right, because you wouldn't want it on the 3rd.
We could meet the 2nd, which we've, you know, moved around holidays like that.
True.
2nd is what day of the week?
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Totally can do that.
And that way she's not
Although
going a week
people
and a half.
taking advantage of that holiday, that Thursday, and taking the whole week, we can take a poll to see who's.
Yeah, no, I get that too, but it's, do you want to wait an entire week and a half before meeting as a committee with her?
Right.
You know, it's tough. If, again, it's not ideal, but as long as we can get 4 people in the room, I think it's
That's fine.
probably
Yep.
the better idea.
Talking about the 2nd?
Yeah.
Yep, that's fine.
Will you remind me about that? Send me an email.
7
We can
o'clock?
do- Make it like it, maybe we can make that like a more off-site as opposed to here, formal, like in her office or something type workshop. Maybe ask MASC, because they've done many workshops for that kind of transitioning.
Yeah, I don't mind reaching out to them.
We'll
But we
see
keep it the same.
Dorothy on Monday at the policy thing. Do you mind us to just ask her?
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Okay.
Are we thinking same bat time, same bat channel?
So on July 2nd
Yeah.
at 7. And we would want her to maybe just do, what, like a,
I'm
like,
sure they have
I'm sure they have a transition, yeah.
They do, because Glenn had mentioned something, and Dorothy, when we were talking about superintendent search.
He did say that when he left.
He said that we do a transition workshop.
He did say that, I remember that now. Okay, so, who am I missing, Peter?
And then, when would we do,
It's usually around,
transfers?
It's usually around August, the first week in August, right? You're probably looking at like 7th.
It's usually like the last week in July, first week.
Last week in July, so we.
I won't
July
be here the
31.
7th, so just be sure you have enough people.
I'd be curious if we can get it done July 31.
I will be here then.
You will or will not?
I will, I won't be here that other date.
I will be here. Because I am gone on August 1st through the 11th.
Yeah, why don't we try that?
Yep.
July
31st.
2nd and July 31st. And then that one is usually a pretty short one.
Wow,
Usually.
it's like an hour.
So, and that's the, what do we call that? The closing?
Budget transfers,
Budget
closing, year close.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I should send it to myself.
And then when would we do one before school start? Like August 28th, or are we gonna do it September 4th?
Sure, it's 28th. Wasn't, I already have it, I already have the school committee meeting
Just because.
in there for the 28th, so.
Okay.
So
I'm
that
just
works,
sa-
so that works for me.
And I'm just saying because of, with the new superintendent and whatnot, so we're all on, if anything, we can always cancel it. Just a thought.
You know, I think that's good, because it'll be a month.
And you said August 28th?
Yeah.
Okay, the doodle poll is out. So, if people want to respond when they get home.
You think? Sure.
The doodle poll is out, so people can respond when they get home.
So we're talking, July 31st transfers?
So July 2nd,
Okay, and
workshop,
21st.
July 31st, end of year close, August 28th, begin the year.
Okay. And also, Mike, by any chance, do you know, I know this, update on SOIs, do you think we'll get that in fall?
It's usually November, December. That's when we
Okay.
get that word back from.
It's almost like having a baby, like by the time.
Yeah, it's a long wait.
It's a long wait.
She's trying to get that.
So has there been any update about Longmeadow that, so this just,
We discussed the need to discuss it.
okay.
But are we gonna lose this opportunity if we don't move that
So-
forward? Or, try and,
I mean, have there been discussions with the parties that you're getting organized, or has there been no discussions at all with the parties?
Honestly, I haven't discussed anything with them, and I should, so in fact, I'll write that note right down, because I know, I can't remember, but
Jim.
someone reached out.
Jim
yeah.
Farnham.
Yeah,
Okay.
and just to touch base. I just don't,
are you going through DeFranza, or are you going through Miller's? Or,
we'd be going as representatives of the district directly,
To
so.
To the
both parties.
to the parties? Okay.
parties.
I'm definitely not looking forward to that being my summer.
No, it's exciting.
It is, but it's also like, again, it's,
No.
And
all
we
right,
might
I
have
need
to redo
I need
this.
3 days' notice to schedule a meeting to,
Yep.
you know.
That's government. It's not meant to move fast, it's meant to move effectively.
So what do we have on
Not
our
efficiently.
agenda for our next
I
meeting?
heard you not do efficiently. So,
David, do
I
you
don't
know?
think we have, that would be under topics for next meeting, which I don't know that we have yet. If we're done with the schedule, let's move on to the donations, and then we'll get to that.
Okay. Yeah, because I think we should put some policy things on there then.
I move that we accept the donations from Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee, accept the donation from Mass Cultural Council in the amount of $1,000 in help in defraying the cost of elementary student trip to the Boston Symphony Orchestra Youth Concert.
Second?
All those in favor?
Thank you very much, Mass Cultural Council. I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee accept the donation from Friends of Cutler Elementary School in the amount of $400 for the purchase of mini grant fine motor tub materials for kindergarten classrooms.
Kindergarten is going to be so amazing. They got a big grant the last time, too. Second, yeah.
All those in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you, Friends of Cutler. I move that the Hamilton Wenham Regional School Committee accept the donation from the Friends of the Hamilton Wenham Regional High School, Miles River Middle School, for the amount of $300, contributed to the 8th grade field trip to DC.
Second.
All those in favor?
Thank you, everyone, for your generous donations.
All right, now, moving on to our first post-Harvey school committee meeting. You're welcome to come back, buddy.
No.
I bet he has a plan at that time.
I'll be a couple hundred miles north.
So, a couple margaritas deep.
Maybe.
Beers or north.
So,
End of year financial forecast is on there. We just added, approve the written purchase description for a search firm for the position of superintendent. And then the appointment of the treasurer and assistant treasurer, the 3 items.
Second reading of wellness policy, please. And I also believe we could do the first reading of Section A and hopefully Section B. Yeah, that. I know. Oh, okay.
And do we want to bring up the, approve the charges for the subcommittees?
We were going to do that in July.
But we could also do it in
workshop.
July with the MSC.
Yeah.
I don't, how about if I ask Dorothy if she felt like that would fit in? And then if she says yes, then no, and if she says no, then yes, and Mike will be at that meeting, so you can update it. Okay.
let's get out of here.
That's your cue.
What's that?
I said to her, that's your
We
cue.
adjourn at 8:51.
Second?
Those in favor? That's unanimous. Have a good night.